I'd like to welcome the audience to the November 13th, 2018 Parish Planning and Zoning Board meeting. I'd like y'all to please stand while Coach Williams says the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Dear God, again, we come thanking Thee for allowing us to see another blessed day. Thank You for life, for health, and for strength. And we pray that You come in this meeting tonight. And first we pray for those who suffer from the fires in California and those who may be lost loved ones from violence. We ask that You comfort them at this time. And we pray for this board and we pray for this staff. Pray for those who come tonight seeking our help, that the Holy Spirit guide and lead us. We might do that which is right. This we offer in our prayer this night. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Coach. Ms. Christie, would you call roll, please?
Chair Arnold,
Present.
Vice Chair Randy Armentor,
Here.
Ms. Latricia Todd.
Here.
Ms. Julia Dickerson is absent tonight. Ms. Sharon Galicia.
Here.
Ms. Janelle Hyatt. Here. Mr. Kyle Link.
Here.
Mr. Jake Porsche.
Here.
Mr. Gary Navarre.
Here.
Mr. Kirk Smith.
Here.
And Mr. LaSalle Williams.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. This is an 11-member board. It will take the majority of those members present to grant or deny any requests heard here tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless that vote might affect the outcome. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the requests from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. The planning staff will give, if the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicant need to fill out a blue card, request to appear form, located in the back of this room. The form must be given to the staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. Opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there is a large group wanting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speakers' request forms are submitted, the time allotted for the individual speakers will be limited based upon the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. The exceptions and variances requests are final tonight. The rezoning cases will go before the police jury for final action on November the 15th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being filmed by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.cppj.net. Channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Vinton, DeQuincy, and Gillis. Channel 99 in Corliss and Grand Lake. I'd like everyone to please turn off or silence all your electronic devices. Not knowing who all is here for case number 14, agenda item number 14, I'm sorry. A rezoning request by Susan Carr. That request has been withdrawn, and there won't be any action taken on that request tonight. So if that's what you're here for, you're welcome to stay, but that will not be anything on that agenda. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome one of our police jurymen, Mr. Tony Guillory, to our meeting tonight. Thank you for coming. We'll take appropriate action. I'm sorry.
Somebody else is.
Mr. Collins.
Police chairman, sorry, Johnny.
Mr. Collins is here.
Mr.
Collins.
Collins.
I'm sorry, we have another police juryman with us, Mr. Collins. Yes, thank you, sir.
Calvin Collins.
Calvin Collins, thank you for being with us tonight. Take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the October 16th, 2018 Planning and Zoning Meeting. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Mr. Link. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Minutes approved.
Every damn time. Need a drink.
Agenda item number 6, take appropriate action on VAR 1018-0052, a request by Corey LaBeouf for a variance to allow 2 dwellings with less than the required lot square footage, required 15,000 square feet, requesting 13,827 square feet, and with less than the required public road frontage, required 120, requesting 95, in the 2600 block of Melba Lane in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion for approval with
So moved.
conditions.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Navarre and second by Mr. Cobb. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located south of Sulphur and encompasses 1/3 of an acre of mixed residential zone land. The applicant recently purchased 1.5 lots from the adjacent property owner. He would like to place 2 16-foot by 80-foot manufactured homes on the land. The homes will share a sewer system. We have not received any written opposition to this request. And because the proposed development is consistent with the density of the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations, and that the manufactured homes be skirted prior to the utilities being connected.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. We have no blue cards. Does the applicant have anything he needs to add to the staff's recommendation? Not at this time. Any of our board members have any questions or comments? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 7. Take appropriate action on VAR 1018-0053, a request by Otis Witt for a variance to allow a lounge within 300 feet of a residence, requesting 148 feet at 3901 East Broad Street in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Mr. Link. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located east of Lake Charles and encompasses 7/10 of an acre of general commercial zone land. Currently on the property is a packaged liquor store. The applicants would like to convert a portion of the existing building for use as a wine and cognac bar. Local law requires that on-premises alcohol consumption be at least 300 feet from any residence. Because there are residences within 300 feet of the proposed bar, a variance is necessary. We have not received written opposition to this request, and because there is another low alcohol lounge in close proximity to a residence in the immediate area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans in light of technical or engineering considerations, that all exterior lighting be oriented inward toward the development to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that a runoff management plan for the new parking area will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that a revised floor plan be submitted illustrating the entrance to the lounge from the parking area on the east side of the building, that the parking ingress and egress be marked as entrance only and exit only prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy, that permitting is subject to approval of the Louisiana State Fire Marshal, that permit must be obtained within 1 year of approval or variance is null and void, that the variance is for the applicant only and is non-transferable, and that the sale of alcohol be limited to low alcohol content, which is beer.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. We have no blue cards. Does the applicant have anything he would like to add to the recommendation? If you would come up to the mic, state your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Otis Witt at 128 Kingsley Street. On here it says low alcohol. What we propose to do is do a wine tasting, scotches, and things of that nature. So we would have to have a high-end alcohol permit, which we have the wine store already. It's gonna be a wine bar next to the wine store.
So no comment
Any of the
Mr.
board members have any questions or comments? Mr. Forte?
Question for the staff, how does this affect, he's basically changing his application at this point? We have to create a stipulation?
The reason that we recommended for it, but for low alcohol only, is because right down the road is Mary's Lounge, and a similar variance was granted, and that stipulation was imposed. And so we were attempting to be consistent.
Correct. What triggers low, high? How is that?
Basically, beer is low alcohol.
Okay.
And wine and any hard liquors would be a high
Okay.
alcohol content.
What's the use of having a bar if all you can serve is beer?
The lounge down the
That's what we
street does it,
You
so
can't.
Well, Mary's Lounge does it down the street, supposedly.
Who
that's
polices
all their
Who
license.
polices that?
Wes frequents it, he makes sure.
No comment.
But
Only beer.
what would he have to do to change it, Jennifer?
We'd have to amend it?
The stipulations, if you wanted to grant it for him to do high alcohol, yes, you'd have to amend
I'll
the
make a motion that
stipulations.
we amend this to where he can sell alcohol, period.
Second.
We have a motion to the amendment on the floor to the motion that they be allowed to sell alcohol, made by Mr. Navarre and seconded by Mr. Forte. It's open for discussion. Yes, sir.
I got a question for staff. I noticed in your reading, you said that in the same proximity, there is another bar.
With low alcohol
lounge,
only.
No alcohol.
Low, right, beer only. That's the Mary's Lounge that we were just
Now, how that's
discussing.
gonna affect them then? If we approve this or with all alcohol,
Well,
how it's gonna
it
affect
doesn't
them?
affect them right now, but, you know,
He'll
Well,
probably come asking for the
He
same.
can, he can come in and ask for the same thing, you know?
Okay.
I think we were just trying to be consistent with what was
Well,
permitted before at that location.
Yes, sir, Mr. Armstrong.
Reading the application, I think their intent was never to be, I'm gonna call it a beer bar.
No.
They come in here asking for cognac and wine,
Yeah.
and their application probably, does it state that's what they wanting? They didn't change their application to be a low alcohol.
Correct.
Okay. So they come in here with the intent of knowing what they wanted to try to do with their
Yeah.
place of business, and I think it got changed on them, and I don't know how to get it
Well, it wasn't,
changed. It's not changed, I know it's with variances or with stipulations, but I think the stipulations changed the whole meaning of what they come ask for.
Right.
Changed it totally of what they're wanting to try to accomplish or to
And they
do
don't-
with their business, and they didn't want a bar to go sit at and drink beer. They wanted wine tasting and cognac tasting
Right.
place. And I know they have these places around, but, so this is what they were looking for, and this by no means is the same thing as to what the stipulations have changed what to, so I feel whatever I have to do to try to get it back, and I think we've already done it with the amendment to the
I think
motion.
amendment would do it, yeah.
To do that, I think I could support the amendment. Thank you.
What I see they came in for is a variance because they're gonna be inside the 300-foot limit between the residents in that bar.
Correct.
Thank you.
Hundred and 48 feet.
And if y'all wanted to, allow the high alcohol content, the only stipulation that would need to be deleted is the last one, number 9, that the sale of alcohol be limited to low alcohol content.
That's fine.
Any other questions on the amendment? Comments?
Question
Yes,
for
sir.
the app. So you understand we're trying to remove that stipulation because basically it doesn't, I mean, you're trying to open a wine tasting. If we approve it for beer,
Absolutely.
Doesn't-
We're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
tasting beer.
Right. We're
You know, we
wasting our
wanna
time.
do
Right.
fine,
Right.
you know,
Okay.
fine wines, and most of the wines is over 6% alcohol anyway.
sure, okay,
So that's what
I'm
we
good.
wanna do.
Okay.
let's vote.
All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Amendment carries. We'll now vote on the application, the variance as amended. Any other discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The application passes as amended.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I like beer, I like whiskey, I like it all.
Agenda item number 8. Take appropriate action on EX 0818-0032. Request by Harlan Judice and Elizabeth Judice, Revocable Living Trust, for an exception to allow a communication tower 185 feet in the 400 block of Delta Downs Drive in Ward 7. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Mr. Link. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in the Vinton area and encompasses 33 acres of agricultural zone land. The applicant has leased a 60-foot by 60-foot tract of land to a company planning to construct a 185-foot communications tower. The tower will be self-supporting and will have a 3-carrier capacity. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, and that permitting is subject to approval of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development.
Ms. Wallace? We have no blue cards in opposition. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? Thank you. Any of the board members have any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 9. Take appropriate action on EX 0918-0035, a request by MK Prime Holdings LLC for an exception to allow residential development, 2 manufactured homes at 1890 Highway 109 South in Ward 7. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Cobb, and seconded by Mr. Link. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located west of Vinton and encompasses just over 5 acres of central business commercial zone land. Currently on the property is a convenience store and 2 pads where manufactured homes were located prior to 2006. The applicant recently acquired the property and would like to move 2 homes on the property to serve as a caretaker residence and a residence for the caretaker's family. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because there is a variety of both commercial and residential uses in the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the division, provided that the director may authorize plans, that the manufactured homes be skirted prior to the utilities being connected, and that permitting is subject to approval of DOTD.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? Thank you. Does the board have any questions or comments? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 10. Take appropriate action on EX 10180037, a request by Arnold Natale to amend EX 05180024, Condition 1, that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development to allow a revised site plan at 600 West Goche Road in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Cobb,
Second.
second by Ms. Galicia. Ms. Wallace.
This property is located in South Lake Charles and encompasses 118 acres of agricultural zone land. Earlier this year, the board approved a request to allow a solar panel farm on nearly 40 acres of the overall site, over a quarter-mile north of Goche Road. At this time, they are requesting approval on a revised site plan that will expand the farm to cover an area roughly double the size of the original request, with the panel installation to begin 850 feet north of Goche Road. We have not received any written opposition to this request. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the revised site plan, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to the plans in light of technical or engineering considerations, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that permitting is subject to approval of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, that natural screening be maintained, and that a 6-foot wooden privacy fence be installed as shown on the site plan and in accordance with section 2650 of the parish code prior to final electrical approval, and that a 6-foot wooden privacy fence will replace any natural screening that is removed.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? Please state your name and address, sir.
Robert Schmidt, 701 South Alexander Street, New Orleans. I just had one request, if at all possible, to clarify the language here. Under item 5, the last few words, prior to final electrical approval, we're not going to be issued an electric permit, so we won't have an inspection or approval. And so the bank financing the project keeps asking for the process in order to get an electrical permit, since we won't be receiving one, if it's not a huge ask, to just delete that as an amendment to the approval that we're seeking.
Okay, I'm gonna refer to our staff and ask them their opinion.
So you're not gonna have any service, there's no electrical meter there at all?
We'll connect at the line voltage of 35 kV. And so the inspections will be done by the engineers employed by the bank. So local inspections won't take place.
So there won't be a service, though, any kind of meter or anything like that on the ground?
The meter will actually be on the pole. So it's a medium voltage service. It's essentially a miniature substation.
But the utilities that you're selling the electricity to, they don't have to inspect it?
No, they don't have an
Seems like
inspection
somebody has to
procedure.
inspect this. You know, you're gonna be tying into electricity.
So the, right now, if you build a substation, you wouldn't send out Calcasieu Parish inspectors to inspect that work. So we're essentially doing the same work.
Okay. So what you may want to do, if there's not going to be electrical service there, we could do it based on a certificate of occupancy to occupy the development itself, you know, we might be able to issue that. I mean, because they'll have to have a permit to do the development.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think of where you would finalize that is some sort of certificate of occupancy showing that you've completed the total development. So, you could amend it to that.
Strike out the words electrical approval and add the words
Certificate of
occupancy.
certificate of occupancy.
So moved.
Is there not another approval that would be given to a development permit?
That's it.
Certificate of occupancy?
Yeah.
Even though
Yeah, you
technically
don't
they're
have
not
electrical.
occupying it.
I'm sorry.
I said even though they're not occupying it, I mean, it's not a building.
No, it's not, but at least we could go out there and do a final inspection, make sure that they've done it in accordance with the site plan.
Then they
And
get
all
that
the
certificate.
conditions and everything that y'all impose. And then that way, we have it documented, and we can give them a certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
That
makes
okay?
all the
That
sense in the
works.
world.
I would think the bank would want something saying, hey, they've done whatever they said they're supposed to do and met the parish requirements.
Exactly.
Okay.
We have a motion on the floor to amend.
And Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I can
yes,
I can take
please.
a stab at restating it for you.
Okay?
It will be a motion to amend stipulation number 5 to remove prior to final electrical approval and add upon issuance of certificate of occupancy.
There's a motion made by Mr. Ormer,
Second.
Ormentor, and seconded by Ms. Cobb. Any other questions or comments?
And that's on the motion to amend right now.
Right, motion to amend. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
The amendment,
Sorry, it was accident.
the amendment passes. We'll now vote on the application as amended. Any other comments or questions on the applicant? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes as amended. Agenda item number 11. Take appropriate action on RZ 10180097, a request by Margaret Watson to rezone from agricultural A1 and central business commercial C3 to recreational vehicle park or RVP to allow a recreational vehicle park, 65 recreational vehicle spaces and 12 manufactured home spaces at 1750 Highway 109 South in Ward 7. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Navarre and seconded by Mr. Williams. Ms. Watson.
This property is located west of Benton and encompasses approximately 7.5 acres. The applicant lives on the land immediately east of the proposed park site. If approved, the applicant's grandson, who runs the auto repair business west of the property, will develop the park. The park will have a mixture of RVs and manufactured homes. And we have received a number of letters in opposition and a petition, and they're all scanned and uploaded on your tablets. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to the plans in light of technical or engineering considerations, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that RV park model types are prohibited, that a 6-foot wooden privacy fence be installed on the east property lines according to the site plan on file prior to final electrical approval, that the existing natural buffer along the north and south property lines be maintained, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and that permitting is subject to approval of DOTD.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? If you would, come up to the mic and state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Robin Bissoni. My address is 1010 Lakeland Drive in Lake Charles. I am representing the applicant, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any of the board members have any questions? Mr. Navarre?
I drove out there, and you're not gonna have anything on the west side, next to the highway,
There's a 230-foot buffer
on the west side?
from the highway. I don't have,
Because from what they just said, they said north and south and east, but I never heard anything about the west
oh,
side.
you're talking about like buffers or screening?
Huh?
We didn't request any fencing or screening because it would be so far from the highway.
And
It's gonna be
commercial,
further back?
Yeah,
It's
it's
200
230 feet.
On the screen, Gary, is the, where
You
it's
see where the
gonna
yellow
start.
line is?
Yeah.
That's 230 feet back. So what
Okay.
you see in front, it's all zoned commercial. There's a car repair shop.
Yeah, I know there's a repair shop there, but seems like when are we gonna get enough of these RV resorts?
That's a good question.
I've had some police jurors tell me, man, we're getting overloaded with them.
Any other questions or comments for the applicant? Thank you, ma'am. We do have one blue card in opposition, Miss Rebecca Coward. If you would come up to the microphone, please, and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Coward. I live at 1753 Highway 109 South, directly across the road from where this proposed site's at. I'm speaking on behalf of the neighborhood as a whole, most of the neighborhood. We just built our home 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago to be exact. It wasn't shown on the pictures, but I have a picture of it. When we built it, we made sure that we were adding to the neighborhood. We wanted to add character, we wanted to add value. We wanted to uplift the neighborhood, not bring it down in any way. To walk out my front door and see a trailer park or a mobile home park it's disturbing, really. Our efforts to improve the face value and the property values of the area, I feel we were successful in that. We have a very nice neighborhood. I believe adding a mobile home park across the street is not going to add to that community in any way, shape, or form when you look at face values and property values. The development will still clearly be visible from the main road. It will be very visible to any passing traffic. There's concern that it will invite several noise, litter, pollution, flooding's already atrocious in the area. The traffic, when I-10 is backed up, our traffic, we can be sitting at our driveway trying to get out of our driveway for 10 minutes at least because the traffic is already horrendous. My children load the school bus there. There's been numerous times I've watched them get on and off the school bus while traffic has passed. The flashing lights, the stop signs, the stop bars extended. Those vehicles still pass that school bus while they're unloading and offloading. Increasing the traffic in the area is not going to improve that. It's increasing the danger of our children getting hit by traffic while utilizing the school transportation system. We've witnessed accidents while vehicles are braking to turn onto connecting roadways. There's no option to add a turning lane. There's no way to alleviate the additional traffic that's going to be in that area turning into this place. The drainage, it's already horrible. I've got photos from the neighborhood. When it rains, any substantial amount, any measurable amount of rainfall, the roadway, Highway 109 has water on the roadway. That's a danger. Adding the runoff that is not going to be able to be absorbed where the concrete lays creates an added danger. It creates more of a risk for accidents in that area to happen with the increased flooding. If you'd like to see pictures, I've got photographs of that as well. I've got pictures of flooding from the front side and the back side of that neighborhood. There's been a proposal passed for 2 RV parks recently. One is Double Down on Delta Downs Drive. It's to hold 114 RV trailers. That's less than 1 mile from our home. That's less than 1 mile from the proposed site. On Sandpit Road, 3.5 miles away, there's another proposed that was passed to hold another 100 RVs. In the neighborhood, within a 3.5 mile area, we have 4 RV parks. That's enough to house 300, or situate 300 different RV trailers. We don't have the population nor the need for that. Development is supposed to benefit.
Ms. Callen,
There's no
I'd ask you to
benefits.
wrap up. You've exceeded your time, so if you would, just please wrap up for us.
I have the map showing where the RV parks are at. With the development not having been completed on 2 of those main RV parks, there's not any substantial need, there's not any benefit proven, there's not a need for another RV park in the area.
Thank you so much. Any of the staff have any questions for Ms. Callen? Mr. Ormental?
You stated that about the RV parks and the proposed RV parks. They have some that's been proposed out in your area now that have not been built, or?
They have passed, they've already come up, they've been passed. The one at Delta Downs, it was approved. They haven't built it yet. It's in progress. In the near future, I'm not sure when the development date is.
They haven't started, no groundbreaking?
No, sir. And then the one on Sandpit Road, I believe they're starting it, have started it. And it's been approved for 100 travel trailers, and I think it was a couple
Has
cabins.
permits been pulled for these 2?
I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and check.
Is the one on Sandpit Road, is that the one when you go to Nicholas Bluff, you take a right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're working on it. I went out there the other day when I went and looked at that property there.
So in the
They've
area,
got that one there that they're working on. You got Nicholas Bluff right there. You got that one right there at Delta Downs that we just, 6, 8 months ago, we approved it.
and you have Wildwood that's right down the road. It's less than 1 mile down the road as
I would
well.
have to check the office to see if they pulled, I would presume the one that has started, though, I hope they pulled the permit.
Let's hope they pull theirs.
Yeah. Any other questions for Ms. Callen from the board? Thank you so much. Does the applicant have anything else they'd like to say?
Wanted to address the concerns regarding drainage. Highway 109 separates the drainage for each side. Like the side of the highway that she lives on drains that way, and our side drains this way. And we're gonna do everything that the runoff management plan, engineering design requires us to do in regards to development of the park. This RV park stands separate from the other RV parks in that it does include some mobile home spaces as well. In regards to traffic, this is a state highway. And so we will have to apply to Department of Transportation and Development for the access permits. And so it's a state highway. It's not a neighborhood. There is a commercial corridor. There's a, the applicant's grandson's car repair shop. It's a state highway. There's commercial around there. It's not inside a neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Ormentor?
Nay.
Mr. Navarre?
No.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah.
Ms. Cobb?
Yeah.
Ms. Galicia?
No.
Mr. Porsche?
Yes.
Mr. Link?
No.
Ms. Hyatt?
No.
Mr. Smith?
No.
6 for and 3 against. Excuse
No.
me, 6 against and 3 for.
Thank you, Ms.
Failed.
Christie. Motion fails. Agenda item number 12. Take appropriate action on RZ 1018-0098. A request by Norman Jones to rezone from agricultural A1 to multifamily residential MRM to allow multifamily residential development, 9 duplexes at 15 Highway 171 North in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by
Second.
Ms. Cobb. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in the Gillis area and encompasses nearly 3 acres. Currently on the property is a house and a shed. If the request is approved, the land will be sold to a developer who will remove the house and construct the duplexes. The duplexes will have a brick exterior and concrete parking and drives. Each unit will be approximately 1,000 square feet with 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. We have not received any written opposition to this request. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments; that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties; that screening must be provided according to the site plan on file and installed prior to final electrical approval; that the development must comply with the corridor overlay district standards contained in sections 26-165 through 26-172 of the parish code; that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering; and that permitting is subject to approval of DOTD.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? If not, we have a blue card in opposition, Ms. Judy Guillory. Please state your name and address for the records, please, ma'am.
My name is Judy Guillory. I reside at 5797 North Highway 171. My property is next door to the proposed project. My concern is the natural runoff from the rainwater. Once these units are constructed, what is going to happen to the flow of the water? My insurance has appraised my property at over $300,000. What will these multifamily units do to my property value? And then my concern is also about the sewage. How are they gonna take care of all these extra families on this piece of property? When the previous owner, which happened to be my aunt and uncle, were alive, they hauled a load of dirt to the rear of their property. Up until that point, I had never had any flooding issues. And I had a storage building in the backyard that started flooding after that. So if you're gonna construct 9 double units, that's gonna block the natural flow of the water. So those are my concerns. Thank you.
Very much. Does the board have any questions for Ms. Guillory? Does the applicant have anything they'd like to add or any rebuttal? Please state your name and address for the records, please.
My name's Scott Bonvillain. It's 124 Wallace Ellender Road, DeQuincy, Louisiana, 70633. We do know that to the north of the property, there is some flooding that has taken place, and it is a pretty good amount of water, but it's not because of a load of dirt. I mean, we don't have pictures, obviously, or anything of the flooding, but yes, there is some flooding, and you can probably see it on the map, how it runs. It actually comes through where it probably clips the back part of the north side of the property. But as far as much dirt, as much water as it is, there's no way that one load of dirt, and what's to say that there was even a load of dirt brought, hauled in there to block all of this drainage. But definitely, there'll be a commercial development sewer system on the property that will handle, all of the duplexes. And as far as drainage, we'll have everything, you know, everything will be set up right and engineered.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question for the staff.
Yes, sir.
This being 2.82 acres, over that 2-acre mark, this will have a stormwater study done as part of permitting, correct?
Runoff management
Runoff
plan, yes.
management.
Yes.
So any stormwater concerns will be addressed at that time, and
Correct.
you know, for the opposition, you know, we say it almost monthly, but this is step one, you know, to determine land use, and then the guys at the next permitting process will determine the stormwater runoff and what mitigation may need to be required on that. So that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Forte. Any other questions? Comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Navarre?
Yes.
Mr. Link?
Yes.
Ms. Felicia?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Onatore?
Yes.
9 for.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion carries. Agenda item number 13, take appropriate action on RZ 1018-0099, request by PHA Enterprises Incorporated to rezone from general commercial C2 to light industrial I1 to allow industrial development, boat storage, and storage yard at 5911 Common Street in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb. Seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located south of Lake Charles and encompasses 2/3 of an acre. Currently on the property is a metal structure with a canopy. Within the past 15 years, 3 businesses have been licensed at this location: a towing company, a car detail business, and a retailer for car accessories. Recently, we received a complaint of the site being used as a storage facility and a laydown yard, and upon inspection found a violation exists. To bring the current use into compliance, the land must be rezoned. We have not received any written opposition to this request. Because the development, excuse me, is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that a 6-foot wooden privacy fence be installed along all property lines prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy or within 30 days of police jury approval, and that permitting is subject to approval of Louisiana DOTD.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? Please state your name and address for the record.
Kelby Shao, 7833 Gossett Road, Lake Charles. I've got a construction company. My question is in regards to number 3, the 6-foot privacy fence, wooden. It already has a fence all the way around it right now. Is there any other engineered product I can use for that fencing that's already there? Just like they make a silk screen fencing that goes behind it, or the vinyl slats that go in there to provide you know, view from the location.
Mr. Crane?
I think the objective of the wood fence is the opacity, so you don't see through some of the silk screening that you see on construction sites. You still see through to that. But a wooden fence, there is zero.
What about the vinyl slats that go in the chain link?
I was gonna.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The vinyl slatting, yes, that creates an opacity that is probably similar to a wooden fence, so that's optional for y'all to determine. I'm not sure, I think is it 6 foot, is the hurricane?
It's 6 foot, yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grant. Any other questions or comments from the board for the applicant?
So you want to put the slash siding, like,
Well, it's just slats that that weave through the chain link fence and makes it privacy where you can't see through it.
do we have to do a change in the?
Yes, you would have to, you'd have to make an amendment to that.
Just change it to a privacy fence then, huh? Instead of wooden, if you just put privacy fence?
Well, there's a lot of ways to do privacy fences. I would specify what you want.
Okay, so you want, what you want is the hurricane fence with the slats?
Yes, I don't want to have to put up a whole new fence when I've got a fence there already.
Okay,
Purchase the slats, it
Yeah.
slides through the chain link fence.
your fence is already 6 foot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I make a motion, we, change the reading from a wooden fence to a 6-foot chain link fence with privacy slats in it.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second on the amendment made by Mr. Navarre and seconded by Mr. Forte. Any questions or comments on the amendment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now vote on the motion as amended. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries as amended. Item number 14, I'd like to announce that case RZ 1018-0100, request by Susan Carr to rezone from agricultural A1 and general commercial C2 to recreational vehicle RVP to allow recreational vehicle park, 88 recreational vehicle spaces and 32 cabins at 2587 West Dave Dugas Road in Ward 4 has been withdrawn. Item number 15, take appropriate action on a request by the Calcasieu Parish Division of Planning and Development on proposed revisions to Chapter 26 of the Code of Ordinance of Calcasieu Parish, Louisiana. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Have a motion by Coach Williams, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Wallace?
I know y'all were excited when we got to that last item, but I have just a quick PowerPoint. If y'all remember last month, I was coughing a lot and I couldn't really do a presentation on this. But we did send you guys home with it, and hopefully y'all all read it, and y'all are gonna have some good questions for me as soon as I'm done with this quick presentation. I wanna go through the general description of the changes that we're suggesting, the specific new concepts that we're suggesting, what we've done to date, and what our next steps would be. So the proposed general amendments, the document that I gave you guys last month was about a 45-page document, and we had to upload it onto your tablets in 2 sections because it's pretty large. But the bulk of the changes that we're proposing have to do with these general amendments, cross-referencing with existing code, eliminating conflicts among the code, modifying the wording and the illustrations to reflect previous changes, and then some new concepts that we're gonna go into more detail about. And just for the folks at home that are watching, just to give you some examples, cross-referencing on the alcohol and landfill sections, which are both on page 14 of the proposal, which is also on our website if anybody wants to look at it. We put in some cross-referencing where we said that additional regulations are contained in Chapter 11 for landfills, and additional regulations are contained in Chapter 4, so that people don't think that just within Chapter 26 is all there is to it. Eliminating conflicts, the administration section of the subdivision article was changed in 2016 to state that appeals on your action relative to preliminary subdivision approval Before 2016, it said that you could go to the police jury, but you guys changed it in 2016 to say it had to go to 14th Judicial Court. And just recently, it came to our attention that further back in that same section was a reference to going to the police jury, so we have to fix those internal conflicts. Modifying the wording, we're changing all the references that were previously in the code as drainage impact analysis. We're changing that to runoff management plan to reference the drainage code that was adopted at the end of last year. And then we're modifying the illustrations for the typical cross sections to match the space allocation for utility plan that was adopted, I think, in 2013. So those things are a long time coming. So we do have 4 new concepts that I want to run through quickly. Reception facility, secondary dwelling units, driveway access, and administrative reviews. Hopefully, all of these concepts will make people's lives easier. We're hoping. So reception facility is something that has come up in the past few months. There's a trend for weddings and special events to be held in more rural settings. You'll see them in barns where they decorate them with pretty chandeliers and things like that. Well, we've gotten calls saying, can I buy this agricultural property and put an event center? Well, it's something new. It's not in the ordinance. We're trying to be proactive before somebody comes in with a specific request. So what we'd like to do is add it in by right in general commercial and higher zoning, which is where you can have a restaurant with alcohol consumption on site, because typically, you know, weddings and special events are going to have alcohol. And then it could be allowed by exception from the Planning and Zoning Board in agricultural zoning. So this is just something we're doing proactively. Secondary dwelling unit is something that we've actually talked about for a number of years, and we're finally putting it in. And this is something that we would intend to add for a mother-in-law cottage or a pool house, an enclosed outdoor kitchen. So hopefully, you know, as we have an aging population or as older children want to move back home after school because they can't get a high enough paying job to move out on their own, this could be an option for people. And we're stipulating in here that it would be allowed by right in agricultural zoning, R1 zoning, and R2 zoning. This secondary dwelling unit is going to have to meet minimum setbacks. It's going to have to meet size requirements based on the size of the primary structure. So the intent is for it to truly be a secondary dwelling unit, not a second dwelling on the property, if that makes sense. An additional parking space would be needed. It'd have to be placed behind the primary structure. Wastewater would still have to be approved by Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. The unit would need to be constructed on site. We don't want any of these storage buildings to be moved on property and then converted without permits. And then we want to make sure that the property owner resides in one of the units. And this right here hopefully will expedite requests for allowing these secondary dwelling units by right instead of them having to come before you or to do an administrative review. Driveway access. If you'll recall, I think last month you guys had a variance for a turning radius. You've had a few over the last few months. We've also had a couple requests here and there for driveway widths. So what we're asking for is to modify the driveway access component of the existing code to allow for greater turning radius. If somebody can submit to us some sort of engineering justification, one of the industry names we've heard is auto turn, where there's a software that can justify a larger turning radius. If somebody submits that to us, then the director would be authorized to approve the larger turning radius instead of them having to come before you, wait 6 weeks to 2 months to get an approval. So hopefully it'll expedite those types of projects. Now, the other thing is that this also calls for greater road frontage requirements when you're on higher speed roads, collector type roads. What we're asking for is 40 miles per hour or above. And if you recall, I think it was earlier this year or maybe the end of last year, we had one come before you where there was an issue. It was in Mr. Armentar's area in Manchester. there was an issue with the lot widths along the road, and our engineering department wanted greater widths, and the developer wanted to get them as narrow as he could. And obviously, for safety reasons, our engineering department, we feel, is justified in asking for the greater road frontage, but we just need to have something in the ordinance that can give us a little bit more teeth to make that happen. It's definitely for safety purposes, and we're hopeful that you'll agree and that the police jury will agree to implement that. We're also saying that relative to that subdivision that was in the Manchester area as well, that new major subdivisions have to have interior roads rather than having a bunch of driveways off of the collector road that it would come off of. And then minimum distances from corners and guidelines for shared access. Those two things are things that have been more policy that we, again, just want to add to the code, so it's just more definitive. Administrative review process, we are looking to expand that. Y'all have had a few requests here and there for larger lot sizes and larger densities for multifamily developments. And what we're asking for is if it's within the urban service area where it's pretty much right next to a municipality like the city of Lake Charles or the city of Sulphur, what would happen is as long as that development would meet the minimum standards of that city, which is typically going to be 6,000 square feet for a lot, and then the density requirements for apartments, it would be able to go through the administrative review process and shave some time off of the review period. It's still subject to public review, public comment. We run a legal notice, we post a sign, so we're not cutting anybody's opportunity to give us feedback. But if somebody opposes it, then it can come before you guys for final say. But if there's no opposition, there's no reason why we can't go ahead and move these through the process a little bit quicker. Then also, we want to allow people that have to vary more than one setback or vary the driveway width to also be able to benefit from that expedited process. So, throughout development of this draft ordinance, we've met with the police jury's planning and zoning liaison group. They've pretty much guided all of our steps, and it's grown. You know, we've been working on this actually probably about a year's time, and it seems like every time we have a meeting, there's some suggestion, hey, we need to add this. So it's been a long time coming, and we've definitely been keeping our police jurors posted on our progress. We introduced it to you at the October meeting. The very next day, it was posted on our website for public comment. In the meantime, we have also held a meeting with the Alliance for Public Growth, and some of the modifications that are in the draft that's before you tonight regarding driveway access came about because of the feedback that we received from the Alliance for Positive Growth. So there's a few little changes in that driveway access component from last month. And then we're here tonight requesting action from the board. We plan to introduce it to the police jury, their Public Works Committee. It'll be a similar PowerPoint to what we have tonight. On November 29th, we'd request adoption by the police jury on December 6th at that meeting. We'll continue to solicit public opinion up to the adoption. So the new version is on our website. I believe it was posted there a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, when this went out on Novus to you guys. And it's going to stay up there, and we're welcome to hearing any comments. And obviously, by what we did based on the Alliance for Positive Growth feedback, we're more than willing to make changes where we all feel it's necessary. Do you have any questions for us?
I'd
Mr.
just like to
Porche.
say,
As far as on the subdivisions, is Article 2, right at the front, Section 2616, Administration and Violation. I see it's crossed out, these regulations shall be administered by the board whose decisions in all matters arising under this article shall be made by majority vote. And then it's crossed out that appeals from any board decision may be made to the police jury within 30 days after the developer receives notice of the decision by the board. Such appeals shall be decided by majority vote of the police jury. My question is, do they have any other recourse for appeal if the subdivision's turned out, because I know it's happened, like, they'll come before us, I can't remember a specific subdivision, but maybe there was just one thing that was out of sorts, maybe they were, 10 too many houses, or just configuration, and we voted it down, and then they came back, reconfigured, and then came back before us, made some changes. Will they still be able to do that without appealing to the police jury immediately after? That's.
Well, the specific change that you're asking about
Correct.
is the one that I mentioned, I think in the second bullet
Okay.
on the first slide.
Right.
In 2016, you guys and the police jury voted to modify the appeal process. Instead of going to the police jury, now you would have to appeal to 14th JDC.
Okay.
But developers can still go back and modify their plans
And
and
then
come back with a
come
new
back.
plan.
Okay.
It's just
Just
if they want to appeal on that specific plan.
Right.
And this was changed in 2016.
Right.
I want to
Okay.
make sure that we're clear on that.
Right.
You would have to go to 14th JDC.
Right.
But all this change would do is eliminate that conflict that's in that other section that we
Right.
missed in 2016.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Coach Williams?
Only thing I recognize is that I can see some great improvement in the staff, and I just like to applaud them for their work. They've been working on this for a whole year, and I know it takes a lot of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Are
All
we
those
supposed
in
to-
favor?
I
Yeah, you
that was
need-
my question. Are we gonna vote on
That's
this?
what I think we do.
We're requesting action.
Yes, we have a
on it
motion.
Okay.
To make a recommendation.
Coach Williams made a motion, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. I had to find out where I was at. The next item on the agenda to advise the State jury took the following action on October 18th, 2018, with reference to the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Board from the October 16th, 2018 meeting. Brent Sonnier, Highway 27, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. Property Wise, Georgia Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. KWG Properties, Leger Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. Division of Planning and Development off Smith Ferry Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. Next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled planning and zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, December the 18th, 2018, in the police jury meeting room. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Mr. LeVar. All in favor signify by saying aye.
So moved.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
So moved.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.